Good morning.
Good morning. Hope you're all doing more or less okay. I hope you all have a good connection to yourself, because it's the bodhicitta day. So, Ayala, we have to be quite sure that we let go of pushing too hard and wanting already to be bodhisattvas, like, people who very spontaneously can put the happiness of others before their own happiness, because never ever forget, we are just training. This is so important. Yeah. I think it's also very important to be really happy about this, that we are interested in doing something as difficult as it is, and that we're not, we're trying again and again and again, and we're not running away. And slowly then, by seeing the benefit of it directly, by experiencing it, because of course, in all the text you read the benefits of bodhicitta and the disadvantage of cherishing self and all that. But if you don't experience it, then we might actually go the wrong way. And also, when we do, or when we think or talk about bodhicitta, what can happen is that it actually, instead of helping, your neurosis is about, I'm not good and I never do anything right, and I'm so selfish and I'm a bad person and all this. It actually increases these kind of views, because in a way, maybe in Christianity, I don't know, maybe in Judaism as well, when we say, may all beings have happiness and the causes of happiness, when you look at that sentence, do you spontaneously include yourself? Or is it, all sentient beings out there? We're not kind of very consciously saying, but not me, isn't it? But we're also not really including ourselves. It looks like, I hear one separate, all beings there are they're separate. So that this wish for happiness and to be free from suffering, it seems not one. Yeah, it seems not as when we say that, we're not looking at it as a group where we are including ourselves. You see what I mean? So, so this is what has to change, that every time you say, may all sentient beings have happiness and the causes of happiness, and we start this morning meditation with the four immeasurables as a preliminary, actually, to then generating bodhicitta. So then it's really good to check. Okay, when I say all sentient beings, where am I in this all mother sentient being? Am I there? Or am I just the doer and then the others are the receivers? I am the receiver as well when we think like this. And again, don't do that up in the head. Do it. How do I experience this when I say, may all beings have happiness and the causes of happiness? Where do I stand in this all sentient being? And then you can give yourself a push and go over to the group. And this is why very often also, but it's again, the Tibetans, they start, and not just the Tibetans, but in general, one starts with oneself. But because we almost don't dare to have this kind of thought consciously, may I be happy, may I be stuff. Strange enough, yeah. So then there's no openness. The heart is not really there, because we are afraid that we are becoming selfish. So this is why, in order to experience the sensation, when your heart is totally open, it's, for us Westerners, I think it's much better to start with a friend, or with a child, or somebody that you really, really care about. And then it works much better, because then we have the experience, and then we go to ourselves. And to give ourselves the reasons why we should be happy. If you kind of you go into the street and you ask people, Do you want to be happy? Of course, everybody will say yes. If you ask them why, I don't know, in Israel, they would maybe say, aha, isn't it? Just because. Now, as a Buddhist, you would say, well, I have to be happy in order to make others happy. So the reason to have happiness is like already everybody else is included. So then your wanting to be happy becomes meaningful. And again, at the beginning, we might just use this as an excuse to do whatever we think we need to do in order to make ourselves happy. But slowly, this attitude changes. Yeah. So this is where this is the direction where the training goes. That, we feel this longing to be happy and to be well, to be free from suffering. And we add the reason why I want to be happy behind it intellectually, so that the intellectually afterwards becomes a habit, a tendency to see that when I'm happy, then I can also make others happy, except for when somebody hates you. And then when you're happy, they're not happy, right? So it's a bit like that. Okay. Good morning, Elisheva.
Good morning.
You were not there yesterday. I know that you can't participate on Fridays, so that's fine. So it's nice that you're here this morning. But I just wanted to repeat, because we took your question from Wednesday. Mm-hmm. When you said, why isn't everybody practicing this? Do you remember?
Yes.
Why are not?
The question was why mankind took the wrong direction from the beginning.
So then, when we kind of, because we discussed it also on the way home from the meditation Martini. So then, I remembered yesterday morning, because I keep forgetting a lot of things. I have tons of notes and this and that, but I keep forgetting these things. So I remembered when it says in the Lam Rim that, the rarity of a precious human rebirth is like, and one of the examples is like a blind turtle that is in an ocean and only comes up once every 100 years. And on top of the ocean, there's a golden ring floating. And the chance that the head of this blind turtle, when it comes up every 100 years, goes into the ring, is like a precious human rebirth, where you understand where you are going, as you say, where you are going in the right direction. Now she disappeared. Oh no, she's still here.
It's my son calling me. I went out. Sorry, I was late because.
Then you better answer. Now you have the answer to the question. It's very, very difficult to produce the causes in order to have a precious human rebirth, meaning where you use your human intellect in order to attain liberation and enlightenment. So it's very rare, it's very fragile, and it is very precious, though. Yeah, so then, we shouldn't ask that question anymore, because one needs to have created the causes in order to practice this path. So then when we become aware of it, then we kind of think, we see ourselves as very fortunate and very lucky in a way, And of course, as much as possible, we try to inspire others, but without being pushy and without, you have to practice this. This is so great, because the more you say that, the more they don't want to practice it. So you don't need to kind of convert somebody. There's no point. Also, something that we keep forgetting, which is right at the beginning of the Lam Rim, and it's the attitudes listening to the Lam Rim. Does it ring a bell? Does it, you remember? It's like certain attitudes, so that it becomes really, that these stages of the past become really powerful to practice, and that then they will transform your mind if you have these attitudes. And that's another thing that, I keep forgetting to mention it. I keep forgetting to practice it also, or because obviously if I keep forgetting, it's not integrated in my mind. So one of the attitude is you take this text with an attitude of being a patient. Something is wrong with me. But again, consciously, we all know that something is wrong with us. Then Buddhism would say, no, there's nothing wrong with you. You have Buddha nature and all this. So again, it's a bit tricky to talk about these things. But a patient knows that he can be better. He wants to get healed. Why? Because he didn't have the sickness his whole life, right? So he has this thing, I want to do something about it. Second attitude, when we start to study Buddhism, we see the Buddha as the doctor, the one who diagnoses us, the one who says what is wrong with us, the one who says how we can be cured. The third of these attitudes is the Dharma is the medicine, like the methods. So the Dharma is the medicine. And then your practice
Sangha is the nurse. They say the Sangha is the nurse.
That's right. Thank you, Ariel.
Taking care of the doctor and the medicine all together for it to work.
Yeah, this is when we think about the refuge, but it's good also to put that in, to see that as the nurses, that even though the nurses, when they have to kind of change your bandage, it hurts, but you understand that their motivation is good. So even there's clashes in the Sangha, we try to see them as nurses, that if there's clashes, they help me to kind of think about emptiness, about karma, about self-cherishing and all this. If there's harmony, we're just very happy. So, yeah. But the most important thing is like, your practice is the cure. So that we understand, the Buddha is the doctor, the Dharma is the method, or the Dharma is the medicine, sorry, and the Sangha as the nurses. They can help, but they're just conditioned. The real cure is your practice, like putting this into practice. So, and especially I think the first one that I am the patient, this is very important, because otherwise we're not really listening. Otherwise we don't have the courage to do something about this whole thing, isn't it? So can we see ourselves as patients, you think? Yeah. A patient, wanting, kind of knowing that I can be without negative emotions, this kind of thing. This is our sickness. Our main sickness is the wrong view of grasping and holding on to a self. Yeah. Now, I'm not saying you're kind of, patient also means I have a cold. Yeah, it doesn't have to be like you're totally depressed and totally out of it and totally need to go to a psychiatric clinic. Not so exaggerated. Yeah, but patient in the sense of, okay, I don't feel so much now, but it will get worse if I don't do anything about this. This is a patient's attitude. You understand? Because the earlier you go to the doctor, the better it can get cured. Edouard, yes, please.
I think the English and the French language as well, because it's the same word, also has a nice connotation.
Right.
You're a patient, you have to be patient.
Exactly. So that's very good. So we're patient. We know that we can be better, but we have to be patient. We have to accept it, and we have to be patient in order to then get better. So this is what I wanted to kind of say for the Bodhicitta Day. So again, today, very important. Don't push anything. Don't force yourself to do anything. As the Buddha says, you don't have to accept anything that what I'm saying as being true, but don't just kind of throw it away, but look at it, examine it, taste it, or he says it's like you examine gold, kind of rub it, cut it, burn it, and then see whether it is gold and try it out. If it works, fantastic. If it doesn't work, then it's good that you go to talk to somebody about it that you trust, because you might be applying it in the wrong way. because bodhicitta definitely is a very, very strong method, and it might be too strong. So we have to practice the preliminaries for that, and the preliminaries we did yesterday by thinking about, Four Noble Truths. I could be in a better way, like being the patient, and then seeing at the moment I have the conditions to do something about this. Second question is, will that condition, these good conditions that we have about precious human rebirth, will it last? Well, no. So then also Netta was asking, why is Shantideva using death so much? It's because in order to get us going, not to make us depressed and afraid, but that we use the time in a meaningful way that we have from now until death, where we don't know when it will come. So these very good conditions will not last. Then where will we be reborn next time? We don't know, depends on our karma. So we have to be careful about our actions. And then even having a very fortunate rebirth as we have right now, it's still, when we go to the middle level, it's not good enough. And then we look at the causes, which are our unhelpful mental states. And we start to understand we can eliminate those. We can live without anger. We can live without attachment, not by suppressing it, not by ignoring it, but by understanding the root of it, which comes from a wrong view of holding on to a real, inherently, autonomously existing self, I or me, which creates that separation, me and others. Yeah. And then we have problems, and then we create karma, and then we only look after ourselves, and we only want to fulfill our needs and all this. Not so drastically black and white, but in general, when it comes hard to hard, when it goes about survival, then very instinctively, I am more important than the other person. You can see that, as long as our needs that we need, like food, drink, and all this, as long as that gets fulfilled and it's easy to get, we're quite decent and very kind people, isn't it? But then all of a sudden, when it starts lacking, water for drinking, food for eating, I wonder if we'll still be so kind and let others go first and all this. Your instinct is definitely that, no, I have to get something to drink now. Just look, when it comes down to getting on the train or on the bus. Aren't you the one who needs to get in now? Or are you the one who says, okay, I'll wait until everybody is in and then I'll see if there's still some space, I go. What's your attitude there? Instinctive, I'm talking about instinctive attitude.
I think for me, it depends on the mood. If I feel like good and I don't know, okay, then I don't mind letting others go up and I don't even go. But if I'm like stressed, then I don't see any other people and I have to go first.
It's a very good point. Like, especially when it comes to self-cherishing. When we are stressed, the self-cherishing is very, very big. I can feel my self-cherishing when I have to go on a trip. And so I haven't felt that for the last 2 years almost. So that was good. When I have to go to a trip and I need my passport and I can't find it anywhere. And somebody comes and very kindly wants to help me to find my passport. And I can't stand it, when they start, I'm looking and trying to concentrate. And they keep asking, where did you put it last? Well, then I say, well, excuse me, if I would know, then I would know. If I would know where I put it last, I would know where the passport is. So never, ever ask that question to a person who is looking for something, But you can say, try to calm down, sit down, and evoke some pictures of this whole thing, and maybe you will remember where you put it last. This will help. But for that, you need to be calm. Yeah. So it's a very good method, actually, to find something when you've lost it. But if you just ask, where did you put it last? It's like totally ridiculous. Okay. Right. So we start again with just reciting the foundations of all good qualities. And then for, the motivation of the day, we take Nagatuna's 20 verses so that you are really sure that you want to do this. You know, bodhicitta, this is something that it really has to come voluntarily. You have to, you know, from your side, you have to be naturally almost be inspired by it, which we all are, by the way, because we all like to help and we all like to know how to help. And it's the most pleasant thing actually that we can do. But because we're so confused and we don't even know how to help ourselves, then that's why kind of, you know, we're a bit afraid. And when we say about letting go of self-cherishing, we think that we will always go lacking. It's not, you know, this is when they say all the suffering comes from self-cherishing and all the good comes from cherishing others. So then you have to check whether that's true or not, because we're thinking long-term here, not. Okay, so these are just the stages of the path. The foundation of all good qualities is the kind and venerable Guru. Correct devotion to him is the root of the path. By clearly seeing this and applying great effort, please bless me to rely upon him with great respect. Understanding that the precious freedom of this rebirth is found only once is greatly meaningful and is difficult to find again. Please bless me to generate the mind that unceasingly day and night is its essence. This life is as impermanent as a water bubble. Remember how quickly it decays and death comes. After death, just like a shadow follows the body, the results of black and white karma follow. Finding firm and definite conviction in this, please bless me always to be careful, to abandon even the slightest negativities and accomplish all virtuous deeds. Seeking samsaric pleasures is the door to all suffering. Again, be very careful. It says seeking them. It doesn't say having them. Okay? There's a big difference there. They are uncertain and cannot be relied upon, because one point they give you pleasure, the other point, you know, we're fed up with them with the same thing. So recognizing these shortcomings, please bless me to generate a strong wish for the bliss of liberation. Not the bliss of not liberation from pleasures, but liberation from being attached to the pleasures, and especially from the wrong views of thinking that the pleasure is coming from the object. Let by this pure thought, mindfulness, alertness, and great caution arise. The root of the teachings is keeping the pratimoksha vows. Please bless me to accomplish this essential practice. Okay, so this is what we did until yesterday. So just as I have fallen into the sea of samsara, so have all mother migratory beings. Please bless me to see this, train in supreme bodhicitta, and bear the responsibility of freeing migratory beings. Then how do we do this? Even if I develop only bodhicitta, but I don't practice the 3 types of morality. So maybe here, in order for it to be clear, it should say, even if I develop only aspiring bodhicitta, but then I don't practice kind of engaging bodhicitta, which is practicing the 6 perfections, I will not achieve enlightenment. So I still don't have the capacity to liberate beings from their suffering. With my clear recognition of this, please bless me to practice the Bodhisattva vows with great energy. Once I have pacified distractions to wrong objects and correctly analyzed the meaning of reality, please bless me to generate quickly within my mind stream the unified path of calm abiding and special insight. These are the 2 last perfections, like concentration and wisdom. Then if you are in the Tibetan vehicle, you would then also practice Tantra. Having become a pure vessel by training in the general path, please bless me to enter the holy gateway of the fortunate ones, the supreme Vajra vehicle, because it's the fast track. At that time, the basis of accomplishing the 2 attainments is keeping pure vows and samaya. As I have become firmly convinced of this, please bless me to protect these vows and pledges like my life. Then, having realized the importance of the 2 stages, the essence of the Vajrayana, by practicing with great energy, never giving up 4 sessions, please bless me to realize the teachings of the Holy Guru. This means that we become aware that my mind, the Guru's mind, the Buddha's mind, they're all one. Then it's the dedications here. Like that, may the Gurus who show the noble path and the spiritual friends who practice it have long lives. Please bless me to pacify completely all outer and inner hindrances. In all my lives, never separated from perfect gurus, may I enjoy the magnificent Dharma. By completing the qualities of the stages and paths, may I quickly attain the state of Vajradhara. And in order to have strong motivation to meditate on bodhicitta, again, we take the help of Nagarjuna, where he says what he wants to do with his bodhicitta. Therefore, each day, 3 times a day, before a statue, stupa, or elsewhere, you can visualize also, as we do, you should perform the recitation of the following verses, honoring in all ways the Buddha, Dharma, Sangha, and also the Bodhisattvas. I take refuge in them and pay homage to those worthy of homage. I turn away from all negativity and embrace all merit. I rejoice in all the merit amassed by all sentient beings. You might recognize this. This is the 7-limb practice. With bowed head and palms together, I beseech all perfect Buddhas to turn the wheel of Dharma and remain as long as beings remain. Through the merit of doing this, so he says, by doing this, I create the merit that then I can fulfill the Bodhisattva's deeds, or I can train in the Bodhisattva's deeds. Without this, we don't have enough positive energy. So through the merit of doing this and the merit I have done and will do, may all sentient beings be endowed with unsurpassed bodhicitta. May all sentient beings have immaculate faculties and transcend the unfree states. May they control their own actions and live by right livelihood. May all embodied beings have jewels in their hand, and may a limitless amount of all kinds of necessities remain inexhaustible for as long as cyclic existence endures. It's a very important verse at the moment, because what we need, we should, like as Gandhi was saying, there is enough for everybody's needs, but there's not enough for even one man's greed. So we have to look at our greed, and every time we consume something from Mother Earth or, from resources, we have to ask, do I really need this? So that it remains inexhaustible. At all times, may all people born of low status become supreme persons. May all beings be endowed with intelligence and legs. May all beings have a good complexion and also a good physique. May they be radiant and pleasant to behold, free of illness. May they be strong and live long. So again, may all beings, so you include yourself, may they gain expertise in skillful means and become free of all sufferings. May they be devoted to the 3 rare sublime ones and have the great treasure of Buddha Dharma. May they be adorned with love, compassion, joy, the ability to remain equanimous in the face of hardship, generosity, ethical conduct, fortitude, joyous effort, meditative stability, and wisdom. Thus adorned, may they complete all the collections and obtaining brilliant signs and marks. May they traverse without hindrance the 10 grounds to the inconceivable. May I also be adorned with these good qualities and all others as well. May I become free from all faults, and may I attain supreme love for all beings. May I perfect the virtues to which all beings aspire. May I always dispel the sufferings of all beings. In all worlds, may all beings who are feeling anxious due to fear become completely fearless merely by hearing my name. From seeing and thinking of me, and from merely hearing my name, may beings become clear-minded, undisturbed, and at ease. May it be definite that they will awaken, and in all their future lives, may they attain the 5 super knowledges. In all ways, may I always do what brings benefit and happiness to all beings. May I always dissuade all at once all those beings of any world who intend to engage in negativity without doing them any harm. So these are two very important verses also, and very inspiring, because, where it says, in all ways, may I always do what brings benefit and happiness to all beings. That can be not doing anything to harm them. So it can be a non-action also, by the way. And especially this one, because we always want to stop others from doing harm to others. So then, we have to really integrate that verse here in that attitude of wanting to stop others from harming others. May I always dissuade all at once, all those beings of any world who intend to engage in negativity without doing them any harm. Yes, Ariella, what would you like to say?
If you could scroll a little bit up, the 5 super knowledges. Can you a little bit elaborate on those 5?
Yeah, it's like we're not going into that because otherwise we don't have time to meditate. It's just, it has to do with the senses that you can see much further, you can hear much further.
So 5 is the senses. Okay.
Yeah, it's like the senses of a Buddha are much stronger than ours. So, or also on the way to becoming a Buddha. May I always, so this one is much more important. May I always dissuade all at once, all those beings of any world who intend to engage in negativity without doing them any harm. Like the earth, water, wind, and fire, medicinal herbs, and the trees in the wilderness, may I always freely be an object of enjoyment by all beings as they wish. May I be beloved of beings, and may they be more beloved to me than myself. May I bear the results of their negativity, and may they have the results of all my virtue. This will be the last meditation today. As long as there is even one sentient being somewhere who is not yet free, may I remain in the world for that being's sake, even if I have attained peerless awakening, so we're not just disappearing into nirvana. If the merit of making such statements were to be material, it would not fit into worlds as numerous as the grains of sand in the Ganges. This is what the Blessed One said, and the reason is here to be seen. The worlds of beings are immeasurable, and the intention to aid them is likewise. Okay, so then we start with the meditation, making yourselves comfortable, visualizing, like Shakyamuni Buddha and all the other scholars and pundits and bodhisattvas who made commentaries on the teachings of the Buddha that now we have access to, that can inspire us. Even you can't visualize them, just think of them. So many beings have been practicing this from 2,500 years ago. These teachings have been handed down from teacher to disciple. The disciple becomes a teacher, hands it down to his disciples, and so on. And like that, so many beings have attained liberation and enlightenment. Now, my job here is, how much do I trust? How much do I trust that I also have the potential to become fully awakened? How much am I fed up with being under the control of my unhelpful emotions, especially my confusion about reality, thinking that things exist from their own side, separate from my mind in a dualistic way? How much do I see myself as a patient who could be totally healthy? What is my relationship to Buddha, Dharma, and the Sangha? Am I happy that there is a doctor because I see that I'm sick? Am I swallowing the medicine even though sometimes it's bitter? Do I apply these methods even though it's difficult to apply them? And do I value the Sangha as the companions on my path, even though they're maybe not sometimes the way I would like them? Then as we go to bodhicitta, do I understand how dependent I am on others for my just worldly well-being, that I can survive? Do I have some trust that my mind exists since beginningless times, and since I'm still in samsara, I must have had billions and trillions of lifetimes, where every time I had a body, and every time I needed a mom and a dad to look after me, every time I needed innumerable beings to make my life comfortable so I can survive. So I understand that at one point or many points, all these sentient beings who now do their job properly so I can, enjoy my clothes, my house, my food, my car, my computer, my TV, whatever. Do I understand that these people who work so hard to do a proper job, they did that not just in this life, but in all previous lives as well? Do we understand that we have a debt towards them? And the best way we can repay that debt is by thinking, I don't want to go around in samsara with all these debts. And this is why I'm developing bodhicitta, because by developing bodhicitta, step by step, with a lot of kindness to myself, a lot of wisdom, I will become a Buddha, and then spontaneously, effortlessly, very naturally, and continuously, my mind, without having to think about it, will be there for the benefit of whomever I will meet as a Buddha. And as a Buddha, I will have the capacities to guide them to their own liberation and awakening. We have to check, do we mean it when we say or think or hear these things? Is something moving in our heart? Are we inspired by thinking, wow, so meaningful? But also, in order not to go into arrogance and I'm the noble bodhisattva, we owe it to these other beings and not harming them, and doing whatever we can in order to be of benefit to them already now, just by giving them a smile or seeing them, hearing them, listening to them. It's already a good way to create the positive energy that we need in order for us to be liberated and get out of samsara. So we do brief meditation on the four immeasurables. Actually, the first three, and then equanimity is the most important one, but it's also the most difficult one. So sometimes it comes at the beginning, sometimes it comes at the end of these four. And we need to experience these mental states so that we will want to enhance them, to practice them, to nourish them. So it's love, compassion, and joy, and then equanimity. So then, in order to experience love, think about somebody that, you really like the person. You like to be together with the person. And you imagine that you are calling the person, and the person says, you're asking, how are you? And the person says, wow, today I'm really well. Just remember a situation like that. maybe we're a bit worried how the person is, and then they say, today I'm really well. How do you feel? This is love. It's sometimes called loving kindness. Being happy when somebody, at least for the moment, doesn't have problems and is happy. The problem is, for this person, it's attached love. So that's kind of the near enemy to love. And very often it masquerades as love. But love allows, honors, and appreciates. Attachment grasps, demands, and aims. And attached love can very quickly change into aversion, anger, and hatred, because it claims, it aims, it grasps, it wants. Love is just the open heart. Just experience it, stay there, and you will feel that it feels good. Especially if we don't want to possess the person. We're just happy that the person is happy. We're not the cause for their happiness, and we don't need to be the cause. So then turn that towards yourself. And you ask yourself, okay, hello. How am I? As if you would be asking the other person, how are you? When you feel like, wow, right this moment, I'm actually quite well. It would be wonderful if you could generate the same feeling of loving kindness when you notice that actually at the moment, I'm quite well. Or I am really well. So that kind of attitude that you feel in your heart, it's called love. And love is the powerful tool to transform any situation and problem. True love is unconquerable, irresistible. But as I said, very often it's mixed with attachment. So now we try to expand that feeling of being happy when others are happy or well and not suffering too much. And wishing them to be happy. We let the heart open totally. By understanding this very nice and good feeling of loving kindness, why do I limit myself like this just to a few people? Why can't I expand it to all? Because everybody has the potential to be happy and to be well. Now, I'm not talking about the happiness of harming others or the happiness of accomplishing something when other people have to suffer and all this. I'm not talking about this kind of happiness. Just a very spontaneous, general well-being, openness. Everybody has the potential to have it. All beings have that spontaneous well-being, happiness, and the causes for it. And as a bodhisattva, we already now start to kind of take a step towards accomplishing that. May I be able to give them happiness and the causes. You see, it's difficult. So we think about Shakyamuni Buddha and all the other lineage lamas who have been practicing this, and we're asking for blessings and inspiration. Please bless me to be able to do so, because that's what I want. And we open ourselves up to these sources of inspiration. So next one is compassion. So again, you take the first person that you were thinking about and you call, and the person says, today I'm not so well. How do you feel? Again, experience the feeling of compassion. Compassion who understands the suffering, and the compassion understands the suffering has causes, so it's curious what's going on. Maybe we can eliminate the causes. It's not pity. With compassion, we feel connected to this other person. We see that, we're not separate. We're not saying, "Oof, I'm glad I'm not in your situation." It's real compassion. We understand it from our own experience, but without bringing in our own experience by having to tell the other person how we suffer. But we understand how it feels. And we're able to communicate that we understand how it feels. And even be able to communicate that we would like to help. Without pushing ourselves on the other person. That is compassion. The sore spot in your heart. You touch it, it hurts. I go back to your experience. When you feel that you're not so well, we all feel it. But then what do? Do we, like same way with the friend, stop for a moment and say, "Ooh, what's going on? What's wrong?" That's what we need to learn. And then instead of pushing it away or ignoring it, this almost magic sentence, when you feel the pain in your heart, in your body, and we just say, "This belongs." And then we accept, and then we try to do something. First, we need to accept. Maybe you feel at the moment that you're not so well. The same way as you would put your hand on the arm of your friend when they tell us what's wrong with them. You can put your hand on your heart and just say, "Yes, it hurts. This belongs. What can I do for you?" Or in this case, for me. What would I need right now? Or what would I need to hear from a person that I respect? That I love? You can imagine or visualize the person saying it to you. But we have to learn to say that to ourselves. For example, after the "this belongs," a very gentle "it's okay." It's part of our existence in samsara. It has causes, it can end. And then in order not to get stuck in self-pity, we open up again and look around and go like, I'm not the only one. But you only do this after the first 2 steps. Becoming aware of it, it belongs. What would I need right now? Then we open up. Everybody, wherever I look, has some suffering and the causes of suffering. May all beings be free from suffering and the causes of suffering. Again, try to make this a wish in your heart, not in your head. It would be so wonderful. All beings are free from suffering and the causes of suffering. I am practicing all this so I can free them and the causes of suffering. Please inspire me to be able to do so. I open up to receive the blessings from our gurus, the Buddha, the lineage lamas, Nagarjuna, Dharma, Chandra, Baba Viveka, all these beings. Especially His Holiness the Dalai Lama. The next one is joy. And so that's why I mentioned the Dalai Lama, because when you think about the Dalai Lama, because you see his qualities, you see his capacity, you see his skills, you see his kindness, his love, his compassion, his wisdom, and you're not jealous. You rejoice. With other people that we could compete with, we might feel jealous. So then when we see qualities, instead of bringing up joy, it brings up jealousy. So rejoicing is the best antidote for jealousy. And the way we practice joy in the Four Immeasurables is by becoming aware everybody can be like His Holiness the Dalai Lama, me included. Because we all have a natural capacity, quality of fundamental goodness, fundamental spaciousness, and fundamental wisdom or intelligence. We all have the potential, but we need a lot of conditions for this to come up. For the moment we rejoice, the nature of all sentient beings is fundamental, indestructible and natural goodness, indestructible natural spaciousness, indestructible natural wisdom and intelligence. It is just sometimes very, very, very covered. May I be able to uncover my natural goodness, spaciousness, and intelligence in order to guide all others to uncover there. Inspire me to be able to do. Okay, thank you very much. So I went 10 minutes over. That's okay because we do have time. So we make 20 minutes break, if that's okay with you. And then we do the meditation on equanimity. Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.